All righty. How about we move on to the next question? How do you get the husband or dad involved? Angie, did you want to start this one?
Take a nap. No, no, seriously though. For example, my husband is a very hands-on person, and when he just starts doing things, the boys will just go up and start asking him questions, or I'll say, hey, go on a walk. Another example, we had a fire down the street a couple of days ago. Boys got on their bike, went down, and they started learning about how, to hook up the hose to the fire hydrant. Watch the firemen do that. Just have them talk. I promise it works. But taking a nap is always beneficial.
I will go ahead and say the past, 4 or 5 years, we've noticed a lot more dads getting involved and showing up to things, going on field trips. It's really nice to see. A lot of times that depends on their work schedules, because usually it's the husband who's working and the mom who stays home. That's not always true. Sometimes you have the dad who goes to everything and you rarely see the mom. But there is that issue of getting around dealing with work. So if you're a dad out there, or your husband is interested in helping out but is worried about being the only guy there, don't be worried. It's fine. Nobody's out to hit on you or anything like that. We're all just there to be with our kids and to share things with the kids. It's great having a dad's input on things. It's often a different input than the kids get with mom. Just a matter of having different opinions and different interests. So please feel free to join things and get involved. At home, again, it depends on who's there to do most of the teaching type of things. But said if mom's doing most of the teaching and dad wants to get involved and teach something, even if it's about the fire down the street or cooking or taking care of something outside or whatever your interest is, give them a chance. Sometimes put schoolwork on the back burner and go fishing with dad, whatever you want to do, or work on the car, fix something, work on science, whatever they're doing. So yeah, just keep the bond there and keep encouraging both ways to do things, to give the time, and to spend time with your kids, because that's basically what we're all doing here.
I would suggest simply inviting dad to be part of it.
Yeah, sometimes
I think
dad's
it's more
a little nervous.
I feel like the field trips are fun, but I think it's the quality time at home, like you're talking about. That's when dad makes the most difference. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Andrew and my husband and I sit down and I tell him he doesn't have a lot of input on our actual curriculum, but we talk about it and just talk to him about it. You might have a subject that he thinks your kids would be into. It's not just the mom show. It's right. Homeschooling is a family thing, so make it that way.
The next question: will my kids fit in with their peers? Amy, this is for you.
So I can talk as a previously homeschooled kid, and yeah, it'll be fine. Just because when I was growing up, we didn't just do homeschool stuff. We also did church stuff and 4-H stuff and different things in the community or whatever. And I always had friends. It was fine. I was shy, so I wasn't like the most popular kid in the crowd, but I always, fit in just fine. On the flip side of that, do you really want your kids to get along with their peers? Because I know some of my son's friends, and my son is 10, and I had to pull him out of a conversation that was not appropriate for any children to be talking about. And I don't want him to be talking about that. So there is a flip side of that where, yes, they'll be perfectly fine in a social situation. I'm not scared about that at all. he'll be just fine with his friends. But I also have because he's at home with me, he doesn't have all those they don't have all those outside influences that are just plain scary.
Now, my son is sort of the same way. Kind of. He's 14, and he's always been at home, but he's very secure in who he is. If you go to the park day tomorrow, the teen tween day, he's going to be the one wearing the cloak, carrying a sword that he made. It's a really neat sword, it's cosplay type thing. But he's totally into astrophysics and all that stuff, and he doesn't care.
Right.
But he can go and he can talk about whatever with whoever. And that's the thing we generally notice with the homeschool kids is they enjoy who they are and they don't really care what somebody else thinks of them. If somebody's being mean to them, they just leave.
That is because you have loved him well and given him the freedom to explore his world and what is important to him and allowed that to be part of his life. That is what we are doing as homeschoolers, giving our
I tell my kids, celebrate your weird. Everybody's weird.
Oh,
So
yes.
just own it. Yeah.
Alrighty. We have 1 minute until the Zoom ends. Why don't we go ahead and end this one and we'll let it wrap. And Angie says she posted the next one. So we'll just get into that and we'll just continue with the next thing. Cool. Yay. And we won't chat as much. When leaving an e-school, how do you know if you're doing enough? And I think this is kind of on the idea of when you're leaving the structure of the e-school, how to do traditional homeschooling, how do you know if you're doing enough? Does anyone have any? I think I would
talk to that.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think some of the videos talk to that, like as far as how do you know if you're ever doing enough?
I think it's probably along the same idea of just, yeah, are you doing what you should to take care of all the details that you need to do, which, as we've said, is kind of limited. You have to do the reading and the math and writing and stuff like that. And the other stuff just a lot of times comes from life. When you leave, when you're with a school or an e-school, I think you're used to having all of that information just thrown at you, that you do this, you do this, do this. So I'm thinking you probably want to just de-school for a little while, and that would help out, and then just start over fresh as a new homeschooler. But don't worry about leaving the e-school for
And then I would
traditional
also
homeschooling.
ask, doing enough according to who?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your child. You're the one giving them their education. Even if they are in e-school or in a public school, you have some social obligation to make sure that they're learning something. It's not just the teacher. You're still the parent.
Right, and you're taking the education into your own hands. So you want what's best for your kids. So you make what's best for your kid. You decide.
The clue for me when I haven't added enough to their schedule for the month or year or week or whatever is the "I'm bored" comment when I like, okay, well, we need a project. So unit study.
There you go.
All right, the next question. Parent-led events for an older child. Can I just bring the younger one along? Christina?
So my kids range in a wide age range. So I have from 5 all the way up to 13. And the biggest piece of advice I can say is just ask ahead of time. In some cases, a lot of homeschoolers do have younger siblings that so they know that there are going to be younger siblings out there, and maybe they're fine with the younger siblings come along, but maybe they're not. And so the easiest thing is just to say, hey, I want to bring my 10-year-old to this, but I have a 4-year-old too. Can they come? And if not, find out if there's another parent who's willing to watch your older child while they're there. A lot of the structured classes at like museums and stuff, they don't want the younger students there. I know the Natural History Museum is looking to restart their homeschool classes this year, and they are fairly strict about not bringing the younger students in with the older students. But the great thing is they have classes that start as young as pre-K and go all the way up through middle school. So usually you can find a class, like in that case, to stay with your other student. Or if it's a class at a museum, let your older child go to the class and take your younger student and just let them explore the museum until the class is over. Because especially with older kids, you usually don't have to stay. So, but it's usually best form to ask ahead of time if it's okay to bring the younger students along.
And going off with that, if you have an older student who needs somebody to stay with them to keep them from being a distraction to others, then you should stay with them. And if it's a drop-off type program and you're not supposed to stay with them, but you know your child and they really need somebody there to make sure that either they're okay, they behave, they don't have issues, whatever, you know your child. Check with the people who are running it and just either let them know that, you know, I'm going to stay in the back of the room, I'm not going to interfere. Sometimes they'll have a problem with parents to try to helicopter and take over, and they get in the way of what is being taught. Those are the parents that they don't want to hang out. But if you need to hang out for your kid, just let them know, be polite, stay out of the way, deal with the kid if there's an issue. But for the most part, it's just clear things with the people in charge.